Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. So I'm coming to you from a brand new place that you haven't seen. It's not new to me, it's new to you. I'm actually coming to you from my office because today I wanted to do a very special video that people have been asking me to do. And this video is going to be all about just getting to know me. I appreciate all of you that have taken time out of your day, your schedule, to follow me on my gardening journey. But many of you have asked, what do you do when you're not gardening? Do you work? Do you have a job? I think most of you know by now that I'm married. I do have children. But I wanted to just dedicate this video and just kind of tell you some of my story. And as you'll see when I tell you kind of what I do for a living, you'll see that this is important to me to do, not just because you ask, but also because I think it's important to, part of how we connect with people is understanding their background, their story, and it kind of just gives you insight or a peek into who they are as a person. So I didn't know another way to do this except to just start talking. Certainly, if you guys have questions, certainly put them down in the comments, and then maybe I can do a Q&A video later on with all of the questions and things like that, or anything that you want to know. I am a private person, but I'm also an open book, if that's, if that makes sense. I'm happy to answer anything that I can. I'm private in the sense that I don't normally just come out and share and just say, hey, look at me. That's not really my personality. But I'm happy when people ask me questions. I'm happy to share and give any detail that I can. So for those of you that are brand new to my channel, I am a new gardener. I moved from the city to the country. It was 3 years ago. We moved in 2019. Before the pandemic hit. We moved in the summer of 2019, and I did my first raised bed garden in April of 2020. So I've been gardening for a couple of years, but let me kind of just give you a backdrop and just tell you a little bit personally about me. So I am married. My husband and I have been married. It'll be 25 years in May, which is quite the accomplishment. If you know, if you know, you know. So we've been married almost 25 years. We have two wonderful children. We have a daughter that is a sophomore in college, which is just wild to say. And then we have a son who is a high school freshman. And I think you have seen my son on plenty of videos. I don't know that my daughter has made an appearance on videos. I think you've heard her voice, but maybe have not seen her. But they don't tend to like to get on camera, and I don't make them because this is what mommy does, is not what they do. But we do have children, and obviously my daughter is away at college, so she's not here a lot anyway, just home on breaks. So that is the family in terms of my immediate, family at home. I'm the youngest of 5. So I have 2 older brothers, 2 older sisters. I grew up in a single parent home. And so as I'm sharing this may give you a sense as to some of the things that I say when I garden, or why this is so brand new to me. And one of the things I want to share, I don't talk publicly about it a lot just because I don't talk about my life a lot, but I did grow up in a single parent home. My mom had 5 children, was an amazing, amazing mother. I lost my mom in 2014. But we grew up literally in the projects, right? So I grew up in government housing. I would say the majority of my life until I was probably a teenager, and then from there lived in apartments. And I always say, like, the first house that I actually lived in was as an adult with my husband. I didn't grow up living in houses. And so when I tell you that I had never put my hands in dirt, literally, I had never put my hands in dirt to garden. Now, obviously, I went outside as a kid and played in the dirt, but I think that's when I say I've never put my hands in dirt, I mean literally. I mean, I grew up, in the projects. I lived in apartments, and the first house that I actually lived in was a house that me and my husband rented, and then obviously we bought homes since then. So that was my background. So I didn't grow up. I grew up extremely poor. I did not know anybody that had a garden, didn't know anybody that had land. I didn't know or have any of that stuff growing up. So when I say this is a foreign concept to me, it really is a foreign concept. So let's fast forward a whole lot. Another thing that I want to mention, and you've heard me mention God several times on my channel, I am a Christian. I don't hide that. You guys will always hear me mention God, and you will always hear me express my gratefulness, my gratitude, and everything that I am, that I do. I consider it a blessing from God. Like, there is nothing that I have done, nothing that I do, nothing that I'm going to do that I'm ever going to attribute to myself, my intellect, my intelligence, anything like that. So I am a Christian. In terms of what my husband does, my husband is actually in full-time ministry now. He's been in full-time ministry for the last 3 years. And so that's what prompted our move from the city to the country. And again, there's so many details and stuff in there that for the sake of time, I just don't have time to go through. But he is in full-time ministry. Before that, he had his own IT business. Before that, he ran family business. And so he's always been kind of like a business entrepreneur type person. So that is what my husband does now, full-time ministry. We have a worldwide ministry that my husband leads, runs, directs, whatever word you want to use. We do not have a church. He's not a pastor, but he does do ministry work and goes, and I'm sorry, it's a fly in my office, goes, preaches, and has classes and all of that good stuff. So that's what he does full time. And then for me, my whole career has been in human resources and HR. I went to school for HR. I spent 20 plus years in corporate America doing HR. I was an HR executive for large companies until I quit my job in 2019 when we moved to the country. And so we were living in Birmingham at the time. We now live in Tennessee. And so in 2019, it was a big year. I quit my job. We moved to the country. That's when we got out here and built our house and moved out here. So that was a big, big year of us doing all of that, and that was, just because of other stuff that was going on. So now I actually have my own business. I've been in business for 5 years. I just celebrated my 5-year business anniversary this week. Actually, it was October the 1st was my 5-year business anniversary when I launched my business. So I started my business when I was still working in corporate America, and did that for 2 years. And then when I left my job in 2019, because we were moving, I decided to kind of just take a chance on myself. We were already moving. I was already going to have to leave my job because the responsibility I had was in the Southeast. And in order for me to keep my job, we were going to have to live apart. And I just wasn't about that life. I wanted to be with my husband and my kids and my family. I didn't want to live in Birmingham and they were in Tennessee. So I was going to have to leave my job anyway with our move to Tennessee. And so again, I'm leaving out a whole lot of details for the sake of time, but around that time, I was going to look for another job in Tennessee, and I was doing my business. But then I thought, man, if I want to do my business full time, this is the best time to do it because I'm already leaving. Right. And so that's what I did. When we left in 2019, I quit my job. I started focusing on my business full time, and it's been 3 years since I left corporate and been doing my business. And so I have an HR consulting agency. And so I work with female small business owners that have their businesses, and I provide HR consulting for those businesses all across the United States. So all of my clients are virtual. And so you guys have seen me many a times say that I have to go to a meeting or take a call. And like, let's say I have a meeting from 10 to 11 and my next meeting is not till 12. Y'all will see me literally, you won't see me change clothes, but I'll change clothes. I'll go out to the garden. I'll plant some seeds. I'll water some stuff. I'll check on some stuff. I come back in the house. I change my clothes again, and I, do my HR thing, right? I do that all the time. And I love it. I love what I do as a career. I love HR. I love people, culture, strategy, all of that good stuff, which is why it's important for you guys to get to know me and to connect. I don't do this YouTube thing just to do it. I do it because I feel a longing to share my journey in hopes of someone else. And so now that you kind of know that backdrop, of, okay, I didn't grow up around gardens. I didn't even have that mindset. I lived in the city. I just moved to the country. And it was brand new to me. And so coming to the country, I knew that I wanted a garden because that was like the thing to do, but also just to kind of just grow our own food, live a more simple life, and to just kind of be prepared for, what's happening in the world. Those were all of my thoughts in the beginning. And so I was doing it. I wouldn't say that I felt obligated, but I was doing it because I felt like I needed to do it, if that makes sense. I never calculated. I never thought about. I never even contemplated that I would love it, right? It was something new and exciting. And so I was like, oh, okay, let me try it. Let me see what happens. And again, it was such a foreign concept to me. I remember talking to my husband saying, so you're telling me I have this seed. I'm going to put this seed in the ground, and this seed is going to produce food. Like, I was talking to him just like, because it was such a foreign concept. Again, I'd never been around it. I didn't think about where my food came from. I mean, I'll go to the grocery store like everybody else. I never had this like, longing. Like, that's not my story. It was, I moved to the country and I'm like, okay, people in the country have gardens. I got land. Let me get a garden, let me help provide for my family, that type of thing. And when it was time to do it, I was like, so I'm buying this seed and I'm going to put it in the ground and it's going to grow. And he's like, yes. That was so wild to me. Right. And I remember, I'll never forget it. I think it was on my birthday or like the day before my birthday. My birthday is April the 29th. The day before my birthday or the day of, the kids and my husband were out shopping for me, last minute. That's how things work. And that's when I did my first planting of the raised bed. So my husband and my son built me the initial 4 beds behind my house. I was putting the seeds in the ground. And I was just like looking on my phone, like, okay, spacing, what does that mean? And do I put 1 seed? Do I put 5 seeds? Like, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But I made a little row, put some seeds in there. I'm looking at, Google and planting seeds. My head is down. And I remember I just knelt down and I prayed, right? I was already on my knees and I prayed. I will never, even when I think about it now, I get chills because I just knelt down and I prayed and I was like, Lord, okay, this is so brand new to me, but you said that if we do this, you will bless. And so, Lord, I ask that you would bless this seed that I put in the ground, help it to produce food, help it to produce a harvest, help it to do what it's intended to do. And Lord, teach me. And oh my goodness, y'all, oh my goodness. From that moment, of course, in 30 seconds, I was out there checking my seeds, right? And then the next hour, I was like, okay, is it up yet? Is it up? Is it up? Of course, y'all, it went up. But something happened that I didn't quite contemplate. Something happened that I didn't quite, and man, it makes me emotional because, oh my goodness, let me pull it together. Something happened in that moment, in the moments after, to where I was so just like all about it. I literally was trying to read everything I could. I was trying to research. I was asking questions of people. And I would ask people questions and they would give me like step 6 and I'm on step 0. And it would frustrate me. And I'm like, but they talked to me as if I knew something and I knew nothing. Like, I literally knew nothing. And so that's why it's so important for me to do this channel, to document my growth, my journey. But I just want to help the person that's like starting from ground zero and they know nothing. And this is a safe space for you to say, hey, Barbara, why did you do that? Hey, Barbara, go back. Like, why did you pick that? Or just to listen to me and they learn, and like, oh, I didn't know that. Let me try that. I want to be that safe place, because for me, it was really hard for me to find. The way that my brain learns is very logical, it's very sequential. Like, I want to know all the steps from beginning to end. And so when people would tell me steps number 7, and just like, oh, well, all you gotta do is put it, all you gotta do is do this. And I'm like, no. Back up. Start from the beginning. What does germination mean? Like, I needed that level of education. I needed that level of, let me explain to you what we mean when we say X, Y, and Z. That's the level of education that I needed. And the people that I talked to were way more experienced, and they just assumed that I at least had the basics, and I didn't have the basics. So I started my gardening journey like that, and I asked the Lord to be my teacher, and He has been my teacher. I read a ton. I research a ton. I'm always looking to try to find, different things, and understand that I think about, wow, in 2 years, how much knowledge I have gained. And that's why I say it's a journey. What I knew in April of 2020 when I planted that first seed in the ground, and what I know now is like the difference is night and day. And there's so much more to learn. And so I just want to encourage somebody that you can do it. There's always going to be something to learn. And on a journey, sometimes you fall. Sometimes you have to pick yourself up. Sometimes you bruise your knees. Sometimes you get to the wrong place. You have the wrong destination. All of that happens in gardening. But no matter what, we keep going, because we have to understand why we're going. We have to understand where we're headed and why we're doing what we're doing. Y'all can tell I'm in HR, right? Y'all can tell that I do coaching, I do leadership training, I do all of that stuff. So it's easy for me to talk for that stuff, not just talk for no reason. So anyway, that's really, like, that's my background in a very minute nutshell, so to speak, and how I came to the country and how I started gardening. And so I started, like I said, I gardened not because of obligation, but I thought it was the thing to do and what I needed to do. I never contemplated that I would love it. I never contemplated that it would become this insatiable desire to just do more, to learn more, and to know everything there is possibly to know about it. I didn't bank on that was going to be the case, but it has been the case, right? And so when you see me doing videos, when you see me, there's plenty, of course, that I don't show that you don't see, but I'm out there every single day. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to experiment. I'm trying to grow. I'm listening to people. Like, I have this insatiable desire to just learn and to understand all I can when it comes to gardening and homesteading and preservation and sustainability, like all of that stuff. Like, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. And like I said, it seems so foreign because that has not been my life. I tell people I traded in, a corporate suit for like coveralls, right? My life up until this point 2 years ago, I was in an executive role. I was in heels and suits every day at work. I traveled a ton, working with CEOs and all of that. And so during that time of working in corporate, it was good until it wasn't good, right? I made a lot of great money. I went to a lot of amazing places, met a lot of amazing people. But I'll tell you, I didn't have a life, right, outside of my work. And so I would have never had time to garden. I really never had time to really not only do what interested me, to even know what interested me. And so it's so amazing since I've left corporate and I work for myself. I'm still busy, obviously, but I have time freedom and I have flexibility. Within 1 year of me leaving corporate, I had wrote my first book. I have a book collection that's completely unrelated to HR, but it's a grief collection for those that have lost loved ones. I did it, in honor of my mom, of losing my mom. So it's a grief journal where you can kind of just share your memories and things like that. You can see them behind me on my bookshelf. So it's called Remember My Mother. I have a Remembering My Sister. And yeah, so you can find them on Amazon if in case you're interested, or if that fits what you're looking for. I'm in the process of writing another book now that's a business book for HR. So I say all that to say none of those things happened when I was working in corporate, because I was working a ton and I did not have a life. So the life that I have now in the last 2 years, living in the country, coming outside, being in nature all day, having access to it all day, every day, it has literally changed me. I now, like, my stress level decreased, my what you call it, my blood pressure, I still have bouts with it every now and then, but not nearly like I did when I worked. But my patience and my tolerance, increased just from being out here in nature. I was always in a hurry when I was working. Here it's like, I have a bias for action and a bias for execution. Like, I'm gonna get some stuff done, but it's not with the same intensity or franticness that I had before. So anyway, I could go on and on, but that just kind of gives you a backdrop, of me as a person, my life before now, what I do professionally now. When you don't see me in the garden, this is what I'm doing. This is my home office. Helping clients. I think one of the dreams, or one of the cool things that I think would be really cool, is to be able to marry now what I do professionally with what I love to do as a hobby, with gardening. And so if there's, a gardening person that is operating a business, then being able to provide some HR consulting for them and all of that. Because if you are using your homestead as a primary source of income, or it is like a business, like you're selling stuff, you have employees and things like that, you need HR, right? I always tell people, if you have people, you need HR. And so the things that I help my clients do is with hiring, thinking about benefits, culture, training, leadership, all that good stuff. I could talk about it all day long. But I think it would be really cool if one day I can do that for like a homesteader or a gardening person that has, like a farmer that has a business. I think that would be really cool. That's kind of like bringing both of my worlds together. But I love what I do both professionally and what I get a chance to do personally here with you guys. But I don't know what other things you guys want to know. Please put it in the comments. I hope that this was, helpful to just understand a little bit more about me and my background. I'm happy to share, if you have questions or anything that I didn't share. I'm not quite sure what all kind of to go through, but I at least wanted to just do this because people have been asking me, and I promised that I would do it. And while it was a slower day today, I figured I was already in my office. So let me just pop on the camera and do this video. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking time out of your day. I don't take it for granted. There's plenty of other things you can be doing and plenty of people that you could be watching. So I appreciate it every time you pause and you stop, you like, you share, you comment, and you subscribe. I appreciate all of it. Remember, this is all a journey. We're in it together. So let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friends.